right. Good evening from Singapore. Good afternoon to Europe. Good morning to Chile. We have attendees from all over the world tuning in today, and we would just like to remind you that this event will be recorded. So, to the representatives of the Singapore government and the scientific community, friends of the Chilean embassy, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chilean Astronomy, a window to the universe, organized in partnership between the Embassy of Chile in Singapore and Science Center Singapore. Our event is part of the UNTAME Festival, Rebooting Our World. For those joining us through the UNTAME Reboot live stream, hi. Our online platform is now in full swing. Do check it out at untame.edu.sg and you will stand to win attractive prizes, including your very own telescope. Okay, so today marks the 4th day of exploring the wonders of our universe. And before we start, if you missed out on the previous day's events, they're all available on Science Center Singapore's YouTube page, so you can view them at your own leisure. So today we have a very special program, and it is a roundtable on women, inclusivity, and diversity in astronomy. And I don't know about you, I am super excited. I have been reading the bios of these amazing women that I have with me today, and some of the projects are totally phenomenal and something that I would never have thought of. Now, let me just, before I introduce them, tell you a little bit about what you are in for. Now, Chile is looking to promote STEM vocations among underrepresented groups and focusing on girls and women, but not only among girls and women, but also including indigenous communities, socially and economically disadvantaged students, migrants, as well as people with disabilities. And today, in this panel, Chilean leaders will share their own experiences in STEM, particularly in initiatives in astronomy to promote inclusivity, equity, and diversity. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce these 6 amazing women we have with us on the panel today. We have, first of all, Dr. Paulina Asman. She is the Regional Ministerial Secretary of Science of the South Central Macrozone in Chile. We have Dr. Sonia Duffau, who is the Outreach and Diversity Officer of AUINRAU in Chile. We have Mrs. Pamela Paredes, physics graduate and co-creator of the project Dedoscopio, a program that promotes making astronomy accessible to everyone. And that's one project that I'm floored about. We have Mrs. Carla Fuentes, who is the telescope operator and technical assistant at La Campanas Observatory, and who is also the co-creator of the Dedoscopio project. We have Mrs. Carol Rojas Diaz, Communications and Outreach Officer at La Campanas Observatory. And last but not least, we have Ms. Tatiana Lopez, aerospace engineering student and astronaut for the European Asclepios mission. I hope I pronounced that correct. Now, if you are curious about how a student can become an astronaut, please stay tuned. I know a lot of our viewers are always wondering about how to become astronauts, so we would hopefully talk about that a little bit as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand the stage over to each of the speakers who would be presenting a short presentation about their work. So we will start with Dr. Paulina Asman. Paulina, please.
Okay, thank you, Karutika. This is how I can pronounce your name, right? Well, and hello to all the people who are attending this amazing meeting from Chile and Singapore. And first of all, I want to acknowledge the Embassy of Chile in Singapore, led by Ambassador Ignacio Concha and his team, to organize this event together with the National Center. And the opportunity to be part of this panel to share experience about this important topic about women, science, and technology. So, as I will share, let me start to share my presentation. Okay, everybody seeing or not? Yes, excellent. So as Kerutika just said, me, I'm Paulina Asman, I'm an astrophysicist, and my field of research is in the formation of galaxies and black holes in stellar jet systems, and a provoke mentor. And now, during the last 2 years, I'm head of the regional secretary of the first Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation of 1/5 of the total portion of Chile. So last November, we celebrate our 2nd year. So I want to start my intervention with the following picture. Let me move here. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to meet Professor Stephen Hawking at a conference. We were on a boat trip chatting with different Nobel Prizes, Francois Angler, the Higgs boson, David Gross, and many of them. And the helper of Professor Hawking came to us and said, Paulina, Professor Hawking would like to ask you something. I was utterly surprised, and I went to him, and he asked me, why did I choose to study physics? If my father or mother is a scientist? So for me, it was, okay, the context of the conference was a meeting with 40 other physicists and only 2 women. And it was the first time that someone asked me, and I started to think about it. So it was really interesting that. And personally, when I was a child, okay, sweetie, I'm not talking. Espera un poquito, ¿ya? my son is just arrived here. He wake up. Well, personality, when I was a child, I was very curious. So to answer the question to Professor Hawking, I disarmed the radio to see how the sound was come out. I learned how to make smoke bombs. My mother was horrified. And I was fascinated to know about genetics and black holes. And when I watched it, the Star Trek series was inspired to learn more about the space travel and black holes. So besides, I read a lot. My books were the start point of many adventures. And I think the other thing is perseverance, because not always everything worked at the first time. So the first part of the answer could be curiosity and perseverance. But thing is, this is enough. Okay, so just moving here. So following developing an answer to Professor Hawking. So there is no scientist in my family, but my parents always support me in my craziness. And I'm the first generation of a doctor in my family. But the first time that I heard about a doctorate degree was in the school, because my math teacher and my physics teacher referred to all the classmates and me by the doctor followed by family names. So, for example, Dr. Asman, please solve this problem in the board. So, and besides, they motivate us to do experiments and participate in scientific meetings for organized to students. So, but it's very, so we have another ingredient here, because these scientific meetings for students, yes, here, I would like to say is Chile 26 years ago started a program called Explora to motivate the students of the school to do science. So this Explora program seeks to contribute to creating scientific and technological culture in the population. So with this program, for example, I presented at my 14 years old my first scientific research about antivirus in front of other 50 other students. And this allowed me using for the first time internet and relate with researchers of the university. At my 16 years old, I applied to my first research project in astronomy to calculate the rotation period of an asteroid. So this project, I remember, compete with many other student projects, and it was selected to make it possible. And I traveled to BLT, this telescope in the north of Chile, and Cerro Armazones Observatory, the place where now is located the EELT. And I had the opportunity to be an astronomer when I was in the secondary school. After that, I participated in the Starshine mission of NASA, which I helped to polish a piece of the satellite. Later, after launching this satellite, we helped to measure the density of the atmosphere. So you see here, there is, my young curiosity, but also there is school, public policies, and STEM initiatives like Provoca, and like Sonia will tell later, are essential to show that science can be an option. So for such reason, I'm a part of Provoca. I don't know why. Okay, here. So, but okay, we are promoting to child, women choose science for your life, for careers. But according to the 2020 Gender Equality in Science, Technology, Knowledge and Innovation report, only 28% of people engaged in careers related to science and engineering were women. We know that the problem starts from childhood, and gender equality is a global challenge. But what happens when women decide to study science? How is your debut in academia, for example? And I would like to show you this plot, which is very interesting because we see the academic gender gap. Significantly, more women now receive PhD and find permanent position within university than during the past. But women are still disproportionately clustered here because you see at the bottom is like this is the total percentage who decided to make science their careers. But then is how is the academic evolution. So here at the bottom is the junior positions, and the women are still disproportionately clustered in this junior position. Only 44% are women and 56% are men. But if we see in the top, the senior position, the gap is enormous. Research suggests that genders, family circumstances, household responsibilities, and personal priority help preserve this gap because 22% are women in this position and 78% are men. So it's amazing. No, not amazing. It's horrible. Chicos, silencio, por favor. Silencio. Okay, so this gap is reflected actually, for example, in the number of the head of the universities who are leading. For example, in Chile, 55 university the leader is a man and only 5 women. Mama. So let's move here, and another critical data is from the Global Gender Gap Report 2020 of the World Economic Forum, which revealed that gender parity will not be attained for 100 years if nothing is done. But after COVID-19, this will take an extra 36 years to close. So for such reason, one of the main goals of our ministry, led by the Undersecretary Carolina Torrealba, was to create the first national gender equality policy for science, technology, knowledge, and innovation, together with another ministries, because everything is not all the one, like women and gender equality, telecommunication, and education, because we must attack in collaboration this problem. And I would like to go quickly to the action plan of the policy. So this policy have 4 pillars. First, the childhood. So the first axis of gender is dedicated to childhood and inclusive childhood and future skill to address curiosity, limitation, and scientific exploration early and without gender stereotypes. Here. So this is here. The second one is we want that by 2030, we can eliminate all barriers, offering both access and advancement in the research profession within university. So, and the third pillar is measuring the gender gap. So the third goal is to create a system country or university that can measure the gender gap. The gender gap and make these reports public and auditable. So we've working on this for more than a year with universities and technical teams from the country, rewarding women's participation in various projects. So this is and the third pillar and the fourth one is investment. Finally, resources have been added to address the gender gap concerning science, technologies, and research funds. So one of the goals was allocate more than $5 billion to understand the technological solution that allow us to solve the impact of gender gap and the ability to produce it. So, for example, 10,500 million fund open now for universities to compete by adhering to corporate plans, which will be funding for 3 years. And when this process is over, they can apply again. So yes, I'm almost finishing here. So moving, finally now as a politician, I'm working to put science to improve the quality of life of the people, solving the necessities of the community. For example, I was behind the first recycling problem of fashion mask during pandemic. And this started in our region, but now it's scaling to other areas of Chile. We pushed the first emergency mechanical ventilator made in Chile. And between the university, the cooperation between universities and shipyards, Asman, and here you can see this, the product of recycling mass here, the breathable machine, the mechanical ventilator, and finally, after reading a Nature article about how sewage could reveal the true scale of coronavirus outbreaks, we were able to build the first research center on wastewater-based epidemiology. And this center is located outside Santiago at the University Católica La Santísima Concepción and is tracking the COVID-19 since 6 months after many other small projects. So to conclude, so we are doing science and concluding here, remarks, curiosities and perseverance is not all. Public policies to show science as a possibility to study is necessary. An initiative like Provoca, that you will know more of it later, Girls in Tech, can speed up to close the gap. But a national policy must exist specifically to gender equality in science, technology, and innovation as an umbrella of the ecosystem, because we must ensure that as soon as you choose to be science, you can develop in this scientist career as far as possible. So this is.
Thank you so much, Paulina. That was a really inspiring thing.
Okay, I come back.
Yes, great. See you back.
I come back. Yes, but okay, that's all. And I hope to don't take too much time.
Yeah, so thank you so much. That was really inspiring. And we loved hearing the children in the background. That really shows that you are kind of embodying what you're talking about, that it's actually possible for a woman to successfully balance family with work and with holding a leadership position. So that was really nice for us to see the kids at the background. Okay. Okay, next step. Okay, I know we have questions. I personally have a lot of questions. And I see some questions coming in. If you have any questions, please put them in the Google form link, which is below the YouTube video that you guys are watching. So keep the questions coming. We will get to them at the end of the session. Next up, we have Dr. Sonia Duffau, who is the Outreach and Diversity Officer, AUI NRAO Chile. So let's find out a little bit more from Dr. Sonia about the work that she does. Dr. Sonia, please.
Thank you. Let's see if sharing works. Let me see. Do you see my slides? Super. Okay, so although Paulina was talking about Provoca, we actually are not a governmental initiative. I work for two North American companies or institutions that work in Chile, but they still are from North America. One is AUI, Associated Universities Incorporated, and the other one is the National Radio Astronomy Observatory of the US. They both have an interest in Chile because they represent the North American partner of the ALMA Observatory. As such, one of the missions is to improve diversity and inclusion in STEM careers, and Provoca is our campaign to promote STEM careers. Provoca is, in summary, in essence, a communications campaign to promote vocations among underrepresented minorities. And this is in general. But we started focusing on the largest and more obvious underserved group, which is women and girls. Despite the fact that Chile is a powerhouse in terms of astronomy, if we compare Chile to other Latin American countries and countries in the Caribbean, we are at a large disadvantage in terms of two particular things: participation and retention of women in STEM careers. In terms of representation, percentages, or participation, among the 18 Latin American and Caribbean countries reviewed by the UN in a report in 2020, we are either at the bottom or really near the bottom, the comparison in terms of percentages of college graduate. We have only 12.7% in case of information and communication technologies, becoming the lowest of the list. We have 17.7%, making us the third lowest in engineering, manufacturing, and construction. And we are the fourth lowest in natural sciences, mathematics, and statistics with a 46.5%, which is nothing to be proud of. Paulina already showed this, but I made it in a more graphical form so you can see it better. The upper bubbles represent the percentages of women in these different hierarchies of academia, and the lower bubbles represent the percentages of men. As we go from left to right, we go from fellow position to assistant professor positions, associate professor positions, and tenure professor positions in academia. And as you can see, the upper part, who represents women, becomes lower and lower and lower percentage, while the lower part, which represents men, becomes larger and larger and larger. The percentage of women in academia decreases as careers advance, and gender gap really widens, as you can see represented by the lower two bubbles on the right. I could talk about Provoca all the time, but I think the best thing that we can do is listen to the words from the protagonist itself of some of the activities that we have done. In this particular video, we will talk about the web series, which was one of the first activities, but we have many more to talk about after that. If we can start the video, in the voices of our protagonists, you will understand a little more what we are doing with Provoca.
Para mí lo que significa ser mujer es ser algo potente.
It is imperative to promote STEM careers among girls for gender equity as well as performance reasons.
Yo no siento que por ser mujer tenga menos posibilidades de lograr algo que un hombre. Yo pienso que todos somos igual.
Y hoy en día siento igual que la mujer se debería respetar mucho más que antes.
Al principio fue difícil porque no es fácil aceptar a otra gente que vienen de otro país, con otra cultura, hay racismo, discriminación igual.
The campaign to promote STEM careers among girls was born out of a role model experience that took place in October 2018. In Chile, as well as other countries in the world, there's a common challenge to promote more women getting into STEM careers.
Se habla mucho que las mujeres es más difícil el área de las matemáticas, de las ciencias duras.
Que en especial en la ciencia es un mundo súper cerrado. Solamente porque creen que no deberían estar o por como puede que tengan que ser mamás no pueden cumplir con un estudio completo.
There are still careers such as engineering or physics in the sciences that tend to have a very low representation by women, and there's also the problem of the leaky pipeline that as women progress in their careers, we tend to lose them.
La dificultad mayor es que yo era una minoranza. Yo y otra compañera éramos la única mujer y entonces teníamos que ayudarnos, apoyarnos nosotras.
Yo le diría a las niñas de que no pueden dejar que nadie les diga que no pueden. Y simplemente no pueden a la primera, no importa. ¿Qué fallé? Ok, lo hago de nuevo.
Since there are powerful cultural stereotypes and biases at work, to revert the situation, we need every actor in society to play an active role.
No se asusten y no piensen que porque estudien lo que sea no van a poder hacer todo el resto de las cosas que les gusta. Sí se puede.
The campaign to promote STEM careers is an invitation to raise the visibility of female role models in society so that girls can see that it is possible to balance work, life, and any other dreams they have.
Sound of the video, right? Oh, fantastic. Okay, because I wasn't. It's very difficult to just summarize everything we have done on just a minute. Provoca series, which is only one part of the Provoca program, highlighted barriers that women confront. We wanted to do it in a positive way, in the sense of giving a message of hope, resilience, and grit to the girls who are pursuing and inspired by these careers. The most important 2 points that we wanted to attack with this video series was 2 prejudices. One, that people say there are no women in science. This is not true. We went and picked among the women that we knew were good communicators and invited them to be the professionals to participate as protagonists on our videos. And at the same time, we wanted to challenge the idea that little girls are not interested in these kind of things. So we invited tons of little girls to participate and join and be in person with our professionals and talk from science to personal experience, everything that involved being part of a STEM career. And from those girls, we also selected and picked the ones that were better communicators, to pair a professional and a girl and show you that there are parallels on what they are going to confront, and that the experience of one will help the experience of the other one. After our communications campaign, we organized regional Provoca activities in person in Valparaiso, which is in the middle of the country, and in Visviri, which is the northernmost town in our country, and it's a town that is 90% Aymara indigenous people. So we are also intersecting. Women are never alone. Women are women with some race. Women are women with some economical challenges. Sometimes women are women with disabilities. So you are not separating these things so strictly. But we wanted to start with the largest underrepresented group, which is women. Other activities that we have were trainings on imposter syndrome, which is something that we saw a lot on both our mentors and our students. The idea that you don't deserve what you have, or that you are an imposter and no one has realized yet that you don't know what you're talking about. So once we saw that there are many of these little things that need improvement, our next step was the creation of a mentoring program. And instead of relying on personal knowledge of someone who might be a good mentor, we are actually forming these mentors. Paulina is part of this certification project and probably will be certified by the end of December. This will become a network of female STEM professionals, and our next step for 2020 through 2022 will be to recruit new students that will be matched with these new mentors that now have all of the coaching skills that they need to do this the proper way. The mentoring program and the Provoca network has been a year-long work where our mentor candidates like Paulina have passed through 8 different workshops, 4 individual coaching sessions, 3 group meetings for networking, another 3 group conversation panels for networking, and they are working now on their final project to be certified. Many of these activities have become press release and picked up by press to publicize the program. And the main things that we want to develop with them are skills in storytelling, communication skills, leadership, networking, and media training, because these we identify the main things that you need to represent well the project and also to become an effective coach and mentor to the girls. If you want to know more about this, you can go to www.provoca.org and you will see the videos that are available in Spanish, but also with English subtitles. And because we have a mission of inclusion, also with Chilean Sign Language. And if something that I have said here is unclear or you would like more details, you can just write to me. I am basically responding through my work email to anything that you would like to know more about this project, or if you want to participate or give us ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sonia. And I think we have been informed in the side that you should read chapter 2 of this document. So I wonder what is inside there. I would do that as well right after we get off this call. Thank you so much. That was a really inspiring sharing, especially the work that you're doing with mentoring girls and women in STEM, and hopefully encouraging them to take on careers, professional careers. Again, if you are watching from home and if you have any questions, there is a Google form right below in the description of this video. So please fill in your questions and we will get to them right after the session. But next up, we have Mrs. Pamela Paradis, who is a physics graduate and the co-creator of the project Dedoscopio. And that is a program that promotes making astronomy accessible to everyone. Now, a couple of days ago, when I was having my early call with these ladies, I found out what was the reason this project is called Dedoscopio. I'm not going to tell you, so we'll wait for Mrs. Pamela to share a little bit more about this. Okay, Pamela, over to you. All right. So we have a little bit of a technical difficulty here, and while the tech team at the back is trying to sort out the issues, I've been finding it really interesting about the work that's being done in Chile, and we could get to a couple of the questions that I have, specifically with to Paulina. So Paulina, if you're here, so one of the questions that I have is the data that was shared on the gender gap between men and women, especially as they go higher and higher up the career ladder, is totally staggering. And do you believe that this is a problem with biases at work? So people, when you're being considered for employment or when you're being considered for promotion, they sort of say, okay, this is a woman, and therefore she may not be able to take on, a challenging career. Or is it a problem with real issues in society that kind of associates motherhood and family? So as a woman, I'm committed to my family first and then to my work. So if it's the latter, then should we be educating the women, or should we be educating the men to say, hey, maybe you should also do a little bit of the laundry so that I can go and save the world? So what do you feel about that?
Sorry, but I couldn't hear all the question.
I'm going to repeat that. So the question is, when you guys shared the data on men versus women in technology and science careers, you found that as they go higher up the ladder, the disparity is bigger.
Yes.
And is that because when we go for an interview or when we go for a promotion exercise, there is already a bias somewhere that says women are probably not capable of doing this? Or is it because women are more associated with motherhood? I have a family, you've got kids, so you have to be at home as a mother. You have that little bit of that expectation. What is the cause for this disparity?
Well, actually, it's a very interesting question because we are promoting make women, our children study science. But what happened when they decide to study science, really? And there are many researchers that suggest that gendered family circumstance, household responsibilities, and personal priorities help to preserve this gap. And this is, for example, when I start my second postdoctoral position, I was pregnant of Leticia, my first kid, and there is no postnatal, for example, period. I don't know how to say this in English. It's postnatal, if someone help me. But
right, okay.
So there is no, it's very hard. So I try and I remember I go, how is it possible that I cannot stand for a year to stay with my daughter? And there is policies about that. But really, it's because I'm perseverant and I continue in this career, but sometimes was very, very hard to follow. And I guess this is the main problem. But now, for such reason, we are promoting this policy in gender equality, just to make this, to create instruments that promote that. As I decide to be scientist, I'm an astronomer. I can develop my career correctly, and think this policy is relatively new from this year. So I think this is the main thing.
So does the policy also include telling men that they should share the laundry, or they should also help with the cooking?
For some reason, this policy was built with other ministers, not only science and technology. It was with what is the name of this? Women and gender equality, education, telecommunication, because this must be done in collaboration. Really, it's a big policy, and because it's taking different phase of this. Taking now they are working with laws, and there is like here, and my husband is taking care. There is some comment.
Of course. All right.
Yeah.
I think
Sonia.
Of course. Certainly, family support is a very, very important thing for to take any kind of a career. I'm going to just move over. We'll come back to this topic a lot because a lot of the audience questions are about women and juggling parents, and I think your kids really inspire you know, having your children in the room really inspired them, Paulina. So okay, but let's move over to Pamela. I think the technical issues are resolved. So Pamela, over to you. We are looking really forward to hearing about the Dedoscopio project.
Yes. Yes. Hi. Do you hear me? And see? Yes. Yeah. Hi. Thank you for my presentation. My name is Pamela Paredes, and I show my project and the Scopio. I be trying for 3 years trying to bring astronomy closer and community in the visual impairment in Chile. And together con Carla Fuentes, through the use tactile and sound material, the Scopio project in Chile work to close the astronomy to the people. Chile concentrate the large number of the observatory and astronomer in our skies is privileged. And like sign, the outreach is very important. And in this image, can see our materials, where the sample things, sugar, cotton, and other things of the kitchen. We can see the astronomy to the people cannot enjoy the astronomy with the sea, when the eyes and the hands son sus manos, no sé cómo decirlo, the eye and the tactile sense. This is the mission of the Dedoscopio, but we don't do it. We build representation with the shapes of the universe and stimulate the sense, especially touch, in this image, and we can see Mars and galaxy forms and EGN forms an asteroid, and all the tactile materials with made with we love. And in this image with solar system, tactile representation, and asteroid, we made 4 talks and for community with disabilities in Chile. This image of materials of this electromagnetic spectrum, black holes, asteroid, Mars, and the solar eclipse. We prepared material for all themes in astronomy, and we meet groups across of Chile. In the pandemic, don't meet, but virtual meeting and with sound materials, to release talks. We have been able to travel through Chile in different regions where there are groups with visual disability, north to south, with activities. And these activities also invite teacher and professional astronomer for show the importance of outreach and new public for astronomy outreach activities. And image with teachers and astronomer participate in these activities. Wrestling Award of Work, IAU, for work in the pandemic. I am very excited for the award, and access to knowledge is important for the social inclusion, and astronomy can contribute that. You can find us on social media, and like Dedoscopio, and we see all work and contact with us. Thank you.
Thank you. This is really inspiring that it's a very creative way, I feel, of extending something that's so visual like astronomy. When we think about telescopes, its optics, and I feel that this is such an inspiring way of connecting with people who are unable to view the stars and to share this magic with them. We will come back to some questions in a bit. As I said, I have a lot of questions, and those of you who are watching, please put your questions in the form. But let's now move on to Mrs. Carla Fuentes, who is also from the Telescopio project and who is a telescope operator and technical assistant at Las Campanas Observatory. So over to you, Mrs. Carla.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here and presenting what I am doing right now. If I can remember how to share screen. Am I sharing screen? Ah, there you go. Okay, there it is. Excellent. So I will briefly talk about the telescope operator life and a little bit more of me. So I am working right now as a telescope operator at Las Campanas Observatory. This is an observatory where I have a lot of telescopes, but I am particular working at the Magellan's telescope that I am showing you right now. These are 6.5 meters telescope, and they are kind of twins because they are almost the same, but they have different instruments. At Bade in the right of on the image, and the clay it's the one on the left. So this observatory it's between Coquimbo and Atacama. So I am showing you a picture of Chile and all the regions across it. Well, I missed one region, but that's kind of new. So, but it's a very, very north part of the country. And as you well know, maybe from these entire sessions, that Chile, in the north of Chile, are the best sky to build and have observatories. But what I wanted to show you right now is how my office is. So this is the one of my window. I really love to arrive to the telescope and see all kind of mountains, all the colors there. And yes, this is a picture of my window, and you can see little roofs. So that's where all the people in the mountain live. And also I live there for a week. My work is like in shifts. So I work 7 nights and then rest another 7. And as a telescope operator, I have to work during the night. So I begin when the sun starts to set. It's different timing between the winter and the summer, right? But in general, this is the sky when I start to work in a very beautiful sunset colors. Right now, well, we used to have this door open to show to the other astronomers how is the sky in the observatory during the sunset, or during the sunset. Right now we are working as a remote form due to the pandemic. So we all are communicating through Zoom calls. And I really love this picture. This was 2 nights ago, on Monday night, sorry. It was really fun because it was, all of us were women. So I am the third one at the control room, and the other ones are all astronomers in their houses in different parts of the world, mainly the US. But I am used to work with people are mostly men, I have to say. I have to recognize that. This is another picture from the kind of fun to show different time zones. And yeah, we are working just through Zoom. And now I want you to show a little video. If you can help me. And be alert to every part of the telescope to be working in the best way for the observations for the astronomers. So I have to settle guide stars, be alert on the weather, because if, for example, the humidity increase or appear clouds, we have to arrange everything to maintain all the telescope working as best as it can. If sometimes, for example, that it happened this week actually, Chile, it's a very seismic country. So in every earthquake or small earthquake that we have, sometimes the telescope stops, so we have to restart everything and maintain a constant communication with the astronomers to alert them what is happening. Sometimes there are some parts of the telescope that fail. It's not common but sometimes it happens, and we have to, as telescope operator, be quickly in the solution to not lose night time, that as we call it, solving these problems. So we have to be fast and just be alert. Also be very careful about the limits of the telescope, because we do have them. Sometimes astronomers want to observe one object for a very long time, but we have physical limits that we have to be or talking to them to show that it's not possible. And through all night we are with a lot of window. We have to be watching them and be careful with them. So I want to continue with my presentation. Thank you. Okay. But also on my week off, I love the outreach. I always have been part and love to share what the astronomy is with the different publics. So I show you kids here. That's how. Ah, okay. And how do I do it? Sorry. Okay. Okay. That's better? Ah, sorry. Super. There you go. So as I was saying, the one important part of my life is to share what astronomy is. Here I am showing you kids in different areas and in different talks. And yeah, as just Pamela presented, our recent work is with the telescope and showing astronomy to people with disabilities, with visual disabilities. So we represent everything in a tactile way, and we guide them through the talk and through the material that we're presenting, and using different homemade material, especially to feel different textures that represent different parts of the astronomical phenomena. I am showing you here an AGN, for example, that you can rotate as the woman here, and also a very famous two-scale solar system that people can walk through it of different planets. So yeah, I'm very happy to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have a lot of questions. The first thing I thought was, in the middle of the mountain, don't you get cold or lonely by yourself?
Very good question. Well, it's in the desert, so during the night it is very cold. Yes. So I always are with blanket, and if not on my legs, I always have a lot of blanket around me. A lot of coffee and tea and also soup. They give me a lot of soup there, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, I am not working alone. Of course, I didn't show my my partners, because due to the pandemic, we are not allowed to be as close as we normally could. So we share a lot of during the lunchtime, or my lunchtime, that is dinner time for everybody.
Awesome. Okay,
Yeah,
we're going to go on to the speaker. Thank you. I'll come back because I have a lot of questions. And if we can't get through all the questions today, I will probably write you a separate email with all the questions that I have. Next up, we have Mrs. Carol Rojas Diaz, who is the Communication and Outreach Officer at La Campanas Observatory. And Mrs. Carol, are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm going to share my presentation to show you some things. Can you see it? Thank you. Well, my name is Carla Rojas. I have a degree in astronomy and a master's degree in astrophysics and journalism from Universidad Católica de Chile. I always wanted to study astronomy, but I was also interested in journalism. So in the first years, I took electives in that area and got a minor in media communication. I thought I would dedicate myself to research, but when I was in the master's program in astrophysics, I realized that I did not want to follow the traditional career of an astronomer, but that I was even more motivated to help people understand the science, working on how to make all those complex concepts something close to those who haven't been trained in science. For this, in parallel, I did a master's degree in journalism with a mention in written press, also at Universidad Católica de Chile, in order to have the necessary knowledge to work in audit and astronomy. I did my professional practice in one of the most important newspapers in Chile, El Mercurio, in the area of science and technology. For almost 7 years, I have been working in astronomy communication, even while I was studying. The beginning was complex because it was not common for an astronomer to work in this field. Some people thought that yes, it's okay because in the presentation mode I can't see you. I put the presentation in this mode. You can see the slide? Yes, I put the presentation in this mode because I need to see you. Can I continue? Yes. In this moment, I only need to share the slide one.
So while we are waiting for the technical team to sort out the issues, I actually have a question for Carla. The question is, and as well as to Miss Pamela, when you work on the Dedoscopia project, what are the reactions of visually impaired people when they're actually working on the tactile, when they're actually looking at the tactile representations? We had the question is from Agustina, who is tuning in from Argentina. Yeah.
Can you repeat, please, the question specifically?
So the question is, when the people who are visually impaired, when they look at the tactile representations of planets and astronomical phenomena that you were sharing, what kind of reactions do you get from them?
Okay, thank you, Christina, for that question. People normally are super surprised, especially when we can compare some materials with something that they know. Like, I think Pamela showed Mars and their moons. So they normally look surprised and very happy to be included in the talk, especially because normally, or here at Chile, maybe in a lot of parts, astronomy is a very interesting subject and are all around the news, in the radio, in the TV. And when we are talk about it with them and they can somehow touch the universe, they are really thankful. That's, I have to say, the main reaction is thankful.
I actually wanted to kind of ask you a little bit more about what was the inspiration for the Dedoscopio project? I mean, whose idea was it? And why did you get that idea of, using tactile representations for astronomy for visually disimpaired? I mean, I just am baffled by the thought that somebody would actually think of that idea. So, how was it? How did it come about?
Well, we have to admit it wasn't our idea. Actually, here at Chile, Erika Alave from Universidad Diego Portales started with the tactile talks like a lot of years ago. I don't know, to 2017 maybe. And I went with her and have like a small course. ¿Cómo se dice? Capacitación. Capacitación. Training. Thank you. And Erika trained me and a small group of astronomers that wanted to learn and start the inclusive outreach. So since that year, I arrived to Concepcion with Pamela and start this project since 2018.
Awesome. Okay, I think Carol is back. So Jihang, are we good to bring Carol back on? All right, wonderful. So let's get Carol back.
Thank you. Can you see my... Yeah, okay, thank you. Well, now, yes. Okay, I can see. Now, I am in charge of communications and outreach at Las Campanas Observatory, LCO, which belongs to the Carnegie Institution for Science, a place where I seek to democratize astronomical knowledge and awaken scientific interest in children and people. From this position, I have focused on three main focuses in the area of astronomy outreach and education. Students and teachers disseminate astronomy to the general public, making astronomy a science for everyone. The first is to work with the students and teachers through a series of activities, both online and in person. One of them is our meeting on astronomy and education for elementary and middle school teachers. The one that had a successful first stage in 2020 and that we resume this year in one more week. This is the information about this cycle for the interested people. The second important focus for me and for LCO is to disseminate astronomy to the general public. For this, we have created several activities and products. One of them is a virtual tour. For example, this virtual tour. This tour is available in English and Spanish on the web address visita.lco.cl. In the image, we can see the SWOPE telescope at Las Campanas Observatory in our virtual tour. Another important product is an astronomy outreach series created and produced by LCO called Navegantes del Cielo Austral, referring to LCO's location height in the Atacama Desert in Chile. This series is unique in its kind because there is not enough content of this type in Spanish, and joins to other audiovisual productions of Las Campanas Observatories available in our YouTube channel. The series has English and Spanish subtitles and includes interpretation in Chilean Sign Language. You can see in the screen the last chapter of this series about planets and exoplanets. This brings me to the third important focus, making astronomy a science for everyone. Astronomy is very visual, so how can we explain all that it entails to people who can't see the beautiful image in the chair, for example? And how do we do it with people who can't hear our explanations? In the area of visual impairment, we have a joint Pedoscopio with Carla and Pamela Paredes to create a tactile workshop that explains how telescopes work. This workshop has been held 4 times, 3 online and 1 in person. This is one of the sessions online, and I can see you the main attraction of this meeting, one of the Magellan telescopes in 3D. In addition, we belong to the Chilean Inclusive Astronomy Group, with whom we joined to transmit in 2020 the total solar eclipse visible in the south of Chile, but in a way, using a light gauge known as light sound. You can see it in our YouTube channel, Las Campanas Observatory. And on the other hand, in the area of inclusion, we have integrated Chilean Sign Language and subtitles to our astronomical outreach series and YouTube production. For example, in the Navegantes del Cielo Austral. Here, for example, you can see the interpreter. And well, please follow us in our social networks to have more information about our activities and YouTube productions and etc. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very, very much. Again, very inspiring, the amount of work that you guys do in astronomy outreach. Last but not least, today we have Miss Tatiana Lopez, who is an aerospace engineering student and an astronaut for the European Asclepios mission. I don't know about you, but this is one of the sharings that I was really looking forward to. And if you have questions, please put them in the Google form. All right. So over to you, Tatiana.
So I'm going to ask if you can please share my presentation. Okay, so that's the ending. Thank you. If you could go to the first slide, please.
I think your slide is up.
So there it is. Perfect. Thank you. So they already presented me. I'm Tatiana Lopez, and I want to show you how from the end of the world, from Chile, we can get to space. So the next slide, please. So as you've heard, I'm an aerospace engineering student in Concepcion, Chile. I'm in my 3rd year right now. I consider myself a dreamer. I've always been dreaming with the stars and being able to reach them. Since I was very young, you can see I'm 2 in that picture, and I'm still planning to be an astronaut. Later on, I'm still planning to be an astronaut, and I'm 18. And right now, I'm getting closer to my dream. And right now, I'm an analog astronaut for the Asclepius 2 mission. I'll tell you more about that later. I'm also a mentor for Provoca, and I have my own space science outreach program. So if you could please go to the next slide. And before I show you the video, I want to tell you about how a little kid who dreamt about the stars actually took being an astronaut a real job, a real career path. So I remember being in high school, and the Canadian Space Agency had just launched their Astronaut Wanted video, and they actually showed astronauts as real people, as engineers, as mathematicians, as scientists. And that's the day I said, well, this is a career path I want to take. So if you could please play the video, I can show you why I get goosebumps every time I watch this video.
Curiosity fuels discovery. What's beyond the yard? Around the corner? Across the border? Above the horizon? What's beyond that? Brilliant minds from around the world work together to imagine the future. They use science and technology as tools. Obstacles lead to innovation, but only a select few fly to space. Astronauts. They are problem solvers. Scientists. They are dedicated. Fearless. When their bodies want to quit, their spirit sets fire to their step. They are determined, resilient. Where is the finish line? There is none. Astronauts train hard and charge into the unknown. They will have to adapt, to experiment.
I feel a lot of water on the back of my head.
To survive.
I experienced what it's like to be a goldfish in a fishbowl from the point of view of the goldfish.
Do you have what it takes? It will take everything you've got.
Okay, so that video ends with, do you have what it takes to be an astronaut? And the second I saw and I heard that, I was like, maybe I do have what it takes, and it will take everything I have. So I started to give in everything I had right away. So what did I do? If you could please go to the next slide. I started searching, what is an astronaut, right? What is this job description that I want so bad since I was a child? And I discovered by definition that it's a person that works like with a spacecraft, or it's meant to be operating it, right? So what do astronauts do? Because as children might think, they live in space and maybe they're in Mars with Martians and stuff. But what they actually do besides going to the International Space Station, or going to the moon maybe, or being in space, they actually train a lot. Most of their lives, they leave it here on Earth, just like every one of us. They try to do outreach, they educate people, and the most amazing thing for me is that they inspire people to keep on dreaming big, and they keep on inspiring them to be a better person. So, and besides all that, they actually train with analog space missions. I'm telling you about this because right now I'm an analog astronaut, so I want you to imagine that an analog space mission tries to simulate the conditions of space here on Earth. So I just wanted to clarify what an analog space mission was. So now I knew what an astronaut was, and I knew I had to study a STEM career, right? Science, technology, mathematics, or engineering. And there were some health requirements too. So what else do I need to be an astronaut? If you could please go to the next slide. I discovered that you need to have good judgment, right? We're going to be in space, which means it's going to be a complete different atmosphere, right? Well, there's no atmosphere. No pun intended there. You have to have really good reasoning, be an integral person. You have to be able to work with a team, because it's the only people you're going to have around in space is going to be your crew, right? So you have to be good at teamwork. You have to be able to communicate using plain language and be able to synthesize. This is because the communications in space are not really that good. We've all lived in a pandemic where we've had to communicate through Zoom or different platforms and internet, right? And we all know what it's like to have bad internet connection. So imagine that, but from space. You have to be a really good public speaker. This is because the astronaut will be the public face of the mission in the end. You have to be really motivational. You have to have really good motivation. This is because, as I told you before, astronauts spend most of their time training to go to space and not in space. So they have to have this motivation and be resourceful, right? To maybe be ready for tomorrow, and you may get launched on a rocket on your way to the moon or the ISS. Can you please go to the next slide? So now that I knew the requirements, what did I do about it? Because I truly believe that if you have a dream that big, you have to do something about it. So I started training right away. I was still in high school, and I knew astronauts train in swimming pools, as you could see in the videos. So they have to be really comfortable in water. So I started swimming more. I love playing basketball, so it's a team game, right? So there's a lot of teamwork there, and I really enjoyed it. So I had fun with it. I started meeting people that had dreams as big as I did in school, and I started university and I chose a STEM career, right? I started studying aerospace engineering and I fell in love with rockets. So I actually joined the rocket propulsion team at university. You can see a picture there with a big mask. That's because we're making rocket propellant, which is the fuel for the rockets. So yeah, I actually know how to make rocket fuel. It's kind of funny. And I started sharing what I knew because, as I told you, inspiring and being able to share all what I've been doing is the best part of the job. So there you can see me talking about rockets and showing my community what science is about. Can you please go to the next slide? Thank you. So as I told you, everybody knew my dream. As I once heard Chris Hadfield say, the more people know your dream, more people can help you achieve it. So as crazy as your dreams are, please share them. My crazy dream was to become an astronaut, and I feel like today I'm a step closer to getting to space. So since everybody knew I wanted to become an astronaut, they always send me links and papers related to space. And one of those times, someone sent me a link to Asclepius. And I was like, well, what is this? And it's an analog space mission done by students for students. So this means 100% of the Asclepius mission is made by students. So we go from undergrads like me to postdocs. So it's really interesting, and we are from all over the world. And this is what I saw. I saw this poster that said, do you want to become an astronaut? I was like, of course I do. I didn't really think I had a chance, but I was going to give it all I had, as I always have. So I started my application, and after over a year of recruitment from their part and doing different physical and psychological tests and some more specific tests for the mission, I was selected as one of the 9 international astronauts for the Asclepius 2 mission. So if you can please go to the next slide. I would love to share with you this really short video where you can see some of the tests we had to go through, some of the stress we had to go through to become one of the analog astronauts.
Our best way of figuring out what technologies we need and which technologies work if you want to put a permanent settlement on another planet.
Experience the current technology that enhances human survivability in space. I believe going through these experiences will make me a better researcher in the near future.
To me, a crew represents a passionate team working in a polished operational environment.
In a personal way, it's not just about learning how to solve engineering problems and to do experiments with people that complement each other and trust in each other's capabilities in order to successfully complete a mission.
I think it's incredible to get to work with such a community of dedicated professionals who really desire to learn and explore and have the same dreams and motivation for me.
I would think that we have the duty to embark on a mission like that with a view of exploring and gathering knowledge.
We need to make sure that we start off with a plan to protect the environment and to come up with a sustainable way of life.
Realize how fortunate we are to live in such a beautiful world and should therefore fight to preserve it.
Okay, so I'm happy to tell you that was my new crew of analog astronauts. And if you could please go to the next slide, I can show you a little bit of what it is to be working as an analog astronaut. So I get to work with an international amazing group of people, not just the crew of astronauts, but the Asclepius team, which is amazing. We are from all over the world. I don't know if you could see the tiny flags in the video in the corner, but that means that every single astronaut is from a different country. And that is really a different perspective in everything we're doing. And besides training and having to learn maybe Russian and simulate microgravity, Asclepius 2 is looking to simulate the south pole of the moon here on Diaz. So that's what I'll be doing for the next year. I'll be training to be able to do the mission successfully with my crew, and we'll be also doing a lot of outreach, which is the best part of the job, as I told you before. Here you can see me in the lower part. You can see me with a group of high school students that are planning to go into university, and they actually wanted some advice about engineering or science or whatever they might need in university. And at the other side, you can see little kids that want to be astronauts just like I do. So we are big dreamers, and I think as little as we can dream, as younger as we are when we dream, the bigger we can dream when we're older. So please dream big. And now that you know what Asclepius is about, the south pole of the moon, we actually do a lot of experiments with water. And that there comes my invitation to you. If you could please go to the next slide. So we work with associations and space agencies and universities from all over the world, including ESA and I know universities like MIT, and as you can see, we were all from all over the world. So students and people who want to apply with a project for us to do in Asclepios can actually do it. And I think now it's until next week, the 19th of November. You can apply with a project, any kind of project you think it might be useful to do on the moon. So it can be on engineering, life science, medicine, environment, or physics, and you can do so in the link below. It's asclepios.ch. So if you really have a great idea and you think you have to do it on the moon, please send it to us and we will test it and give you your results back. So there's an invitation for you. And if you could please go to the next slide. Thank you. I want to leave you with this. The sky is not the limit. We always thought it was, but we can dream so big and that we can reach the stars. So go ahead and dream big, because that's what it's all about. And as we say in our space science outreach program, dare to be different, because those tiny things that you think it might be so crazy that people might laugh at are the things that make you unique and make you a great person, and maybe that they will get you to space someday. So that's my small presentation, and I hope you liked it.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. I'm just wondering, would the missions, the analog missions, be open to someone who is far older than you? If they are, I would love to apply.
Of course, we actually accept students. Well, you have to be a student. That's the only requisite. Except by the projects. In the projects, you don't have to be a student to send a project.
Okay, I could go back and matriculate in a university for a postgraduate degree just to get on this mission. That was so cool.
That would be amazing.
Okay. We have time for a few questions, and we do have some questions. I think one of the questions, and I think there are a couple of versions of this question from Rachel as well as from Ming. Why is it important that everyone gets to enjoy astronomy? And I think this is both in line with what has been shared for the Telescopio project. Why is it important? Why astronomy? Why is it important everyone has to enjoy astronomy? And also for all of you, why do you think people should know astronomy? As in Singapore, while there is interest in astronomy, and at the Science Center we've got an observatory which is generally very popular, the general belief is, hey, space, far away, not very important kind of thing. So maybe you guys would like to share. Perhaps we can hear from the folks from the Telescopio project first, and then everyone else can pitch in.
Yes, I can start. I don't know if Pame can join me also. Well, I think one very important thing, as I said before, astronomy, it's a very known and daily subject in the country, in the news. People that doesn't have access to this information doesn't understand very well what is happening. So that's why we believe that it's important for us, for everybody, to bring astronomy in the way that they can access. I don't know if that makes sense.
Does anyone else want to add to that? Why is the study of astronomy important? Or why do we have to do it? The outreach.
Maybe I can take this.
I can.
Because
Sorry.
Sonia, please go ahead.
Okay. So astronomy has a very particular characteristic. Astronomy allows you to join and intersect many sciences. There is astrobiology, astrochemistry, astrogeology, and astronomy is one of the sciences that has a better, that people better understand what we are talking about in theory, you know, and then they have a positive relationship with. For example, I started my studies as a physicist, and as a physicist, everybody would go like, physics, so hard. I don't want to know what you're doing. I don't care. And then I switched to astronomy. I mean, you go first to physics and then to astronomy. And in astronomy, people will say, I always wanted to be an astronomer. I always wanted to know these things. And in my mind, it was, come on, it's the same thing. You know, it's physics applied to the orbits of planets and stuff like that. So if you want to have, sorry, I'm feeding the baby. If you want to have a group of people, a society that is knowledgeable on science, the easiest way to start with is with what they would like to know about, with astronomy. And then from astronomy, you can teach them whatever you want, you know? So why is it important that it's accessible to everybody? First, because everybody likes it. And second, because from that door, you open all the others. Valentina.
Paulina, do you want to add on to that?
Oh, yes, no, because I totally agree with Sonia. Because, for example, I started with physics too, but before, when I was in the secondary school, I did a lot of work in observational astronomy. But I must say, at the beginning of my undergraduate career, I said, it's so boring, observatory astronomy. So I moved to theoretician part of astronomy. But after that, when I moved to theoretician, I say, but I would like to test all the models. And then I move and I do in both. So something observational, but most of them in theory. But for me, it was very exciting when I saw Star Trek when I was teenager and see the black holes, what are the black holes, and you can make space travels. And that was really, really, as Sonia said, really easy to deglute, to digest. But the career at the end is not so easy, because you have to do very hard courses like general relativity, very advanced maths, and it's not so easy like just observe the sky. And but I really enjoy my job. I really enjoy to discover how the galaxy form, what is the role of black holes, and make models in my computer and try to I forgot the word. Try to to know what will happen in the future, like with models. Predict. This is the word. Predict these things and explain what will happen. So it's completely very amazing for me. And as soon as finish this, I will move again to my research to continue this work. But really, really, it's amazing. Chile has very good skies, has infrastructure to make astronomy, have many universities, institutes, the best telescope in the world are here. So I think astronomy in Chile is a culture. So we invite you to visit us, to come here and enjoy our very beautiful skies and enjoy this, really, because this is our origin.
And yes, and over the last 4 days, when I have been seeing all the footage and the documentaries that has been shared at the Science Center, the first thing I want to do after the pandemic is to book my tickets to Chile. So I will be in touch as well, many of the people from here. Okay, unfortunately, we are out of time and we would have to wrap up the session. So in case for everyone who is viewing, thank you for joining us over the last 4 days. And in case you have missed our other live streams, you may head over to the Science Center's YouTube page and all the recordings are there and they will be there. If you have yet to follow our social media pages, do follow us at UNTAME SG, that's UNTAME SG, on Facebook and Instagram for more updates on the event. There is a day carnival on 20th to 28th November, and there is a once in a blue moon. Okay, I know we're talking about astronomy here, but yes, it's a once in a blue moon chance to experience the Science Center Singapore after dark, with performances, activities, and foam blaster battle game. So yes, tickets are available. So you have to make your reservations because of the pandemic. You have to make your reservations before you come in. And last but not least, we do have a humble observatory. It is not the Alma Observatory, unfortunately, but we have a humble observatory at the Science Center, and we are open to the public. So check out the Science Center Observatory's Facebook page for our next open days. We do have some very interesting things you can see from the observatory. Personally, I love to see Jupiter and Saturn through the telescope, and we have our educators on standby who would be very pleased to share with you the wonders of the night sky that can be seen even from a very light polluted Singapore sky. And hopefully we can all go to Chile at some point in time in the near future and to learn more about the wonderful work in astronomy that's being done in Chile. So thank you very much. And we have come to the end of our collaboration with the Embassy of Chile, Chilean Astronomy, A Window to the Universe. Thank you and have a good evening.